Welcome to Janesville, Wisconsin.
This is by far one of the top must-do things when you're here in Janesville. Well, if you come to Wisconsin, one thing you have to do are the supper clubs. It's just beautiful here. I love the idea of a gourmet sandwich shop.
Now we can say we've come to a sunflower field.
I mean, this is amazing. He's gonna love what I'm doing. Turns out he was about to kill me.
Welcome to Janesville, Wisconsin, a hidden gem in the south central part of the state. With hundreds of acres of parks, plenty of rich history, an amazing food scene, and the best water ski show team in the world, there's no shortage of fun here in town. In this episode, we'll take you along as we explore the vibrant downtown, stop by Janesville's Wisconsin-produced farmers market, visit our first ever sunflower field, learn about Abe Lincoln's connection to town, and of course, the most Wisconsin thing we can do, visit our first supper club. We stayed in nearby Milton at Blackhawk Campground right on Clear Lake. It was a great central location for all the activities we had planned. After setting up camp, it was time to see one of the most famous attractions in town, the Rock Aqua Jays.
Our goal is very simple. Have one hell of a good show for you, entertain you, and put a smile on your face. Are you ready for that?
Well, this is by far one of the top must-do things when you're here in Janesville.
Yes, you have to see a Rock Aqua Jay show if they are performing. And what are the Rock Aqua Jays? They are a national championship water skiing team. Absolutely incredible formations, and this year's theme is Ghostbusters. They have been performing since 1961. This is a legendary group. There are over 80 skiers. We just got to talk to a couple of them, and I am so excited because this is their first show in over 2 months.
And next week are the championships. So we're going to be seeing, hopefully, their next championship performance tonight.
Yeah, here at the stadium, they have all the banners of the past championships that they've won. 22 national titles. That is amazing. And I know we're in for a treat tonight.
One more time on the skies. Cutting way out, laying it way up and over.
For 64 years, the Rock Aqua Jays have been entertaining people and breaking records along the way. They've been named the National Show Ski Association Team of the Year 6 times. In 1993, they were the first to build a 5-tier pyramid, and they set the record twice for most people in a water ski pyramid, most recently in 2022 with a 93-person pyramid. They perform free shows twice weekly during the summer months when weather conditions allow.
That was absolutely incredible. I'm just blown away by the talent that we just witnessed.
And we got a very special perspective because we had a GoPro on one of the skiers.
I know, big thanks to Kylie. We got to talk to her a little bit before the show. She started doing this when she was 7 years old. She is now 25, and she was phenomenal. I could always spot her pretty easily because I could see the GoPro. It was so cool.
Just all the different techniques and the skills, completely incredible. They had, I don't know what they call it, but it's where they're literally being drugged through the water.
Yeah,
they kept doing that, and I'm like, this seems really, really intense.
Really cool, and it was amazing to see all of the different age ranges too. We've got little kids all the way up to people probably in their 60s. And the reason that they hadn't been able to perform a show for over 2 months was because of the amount of rain that this area of Wisconsin has gotten all summer. And so this literally was their first opportunity to do so. And usually they have a beach that they come in and do those landings on. And you could see there was no beach, and they were coming right in and then hopping on the concrete.
And because of the high water, it's been a challenge for them to practice. But next week are the national championships. So we'll have the results by the time that this airs, and we'll have a note down here if they won. I hope they won. A whole lot of talent in one team. This is such a beautiful place, and the story behind the Rotary Botanical Garden is also interesting.
The site of these gardens didn't always hold so much beauty, but thanks in part to retired orthodontist Dr. Robert Yar, what was once sort of an eyesore has grown into a treasured attraction here in Janesville. In the late 80s, the original site was largely covered in debris, brush, and weeds. It had been used as storage and had part of a BMX bike trail running through it. Well, Dr. Yar saw the potential for what could be, and his dream was to clean up the site and construct an international-themed botanical garden. So he wrote a letter to the city and 2 local Rotary clubs, and with their support, including a free-of-charge 99-year lease from Janesville, work began to completely overhaul this piece of land into the beautiful gardens we get to enjoy today.
It is so wonderful to just come and walk around. It's so peaceful. One of my favorite parts is the Japanese gardens. They have waterfalls and creeks running throughout, and then there's a beautiful red bridge and it opens up onto a pond with a fountain. It is so picturesque. And to see those before and after pictures, it's really mind-blowing, knowing what was here before and how they transformed it into just such a peaceful and beautiful place to come.
There's also formal Italian, formal French gardens, and you come around every corner and it just transforms into another style. You see different varietals of plants. It's just beautiful here.
The gardens are open daily, May through October, for visitors to enjoy.
Well, I'm in heaven at this farmer's market because there's dogs everywhere and they're so cute. Howard, what'd you get?
It's jalapeno cheesy bread, fresh baked.
It looks good. You smell good?
Oh yeah. We always try and find like a local farmer's market or something, and we already got a haul. And this is a very special farmer's market because it's only Wisconsin produced growers, right?
Yeah, we've seen all kinds of things, everything from produce to lavender candles to coffee to mini donuts to jewelry, all kinds of fun stuff. And I love the ambiance down here. This is such a fun spot for a farmer's market.
It's a beautiful location right along the river.
Yeah.
They've clearly invested a lot into these public spaces for all kinds of events and festivals.
Yeah, and there's beautiful murals everywhere. Like, this is really well done, and I just love the vibe of this farmer's market. Well, I can say that Sandwich Bar definitely lives up to their slogan. Damn fine sandwiches for sure.
And the beer was actually pretty good too.
You didn't have the beer. But we had a cocktail and a mocktail, which were both excellent. You're a big fan of mezcal, and that was so good.
Mezcal cocktail was delicious. And I had the Jolene, which we found out is actually their most popular dish. Man, it is a delicious sandwich. I love the idea of like a gourmet sandwich shop.
7 years ago, my husband and I, who had no experience in hospitality, when we opened our first restaurant, I was the restaurant critic for the Janesville Gazette for about 5 years. And so we knew there was a need for something different. So we opened Lark. Next, we opened Lark Market, which is kind of a wine, spirits, and gourmet grocery store. Finally, we opened Sandwich Bar in 21, which is meant to be more casual and fun. And it's really based on like chef-driven sandwiches and an attitude. We happened to know a muralist who did 2 of the large murals down the street. So we approached him about designing the restaurant. We're food nuts, and so we wanted to honor 2 people that are very instrumental to inspiring us. Both Bourdain and Julia Child started their food careers later in life, as did we. And they both were teachers, and we kind of see ourselves as teachers as well.
And we found out from Joan that outside of the bread, they make everything else in-house. Sauces and all.
And that garlic aioli, oh my gosh, the fries were so good. Dipping it in there, I just kept going. I could not stop. It was amazing.
Well, tucked in this neighborhood is a festival that's been going on for over 65 years.
Yeah, this is the Tallman Art Festival, and there's all different kinds of artists here. It's only 2 days.
Yeah, and there are over 60 vendors on the site.
And we just happened to time our visit right so that we get to check it out. And it's on the grounds of the Lincoln Tallman Museum, which we're also going to get a tour of and hear a special story about Abraham Lincoln.
Tours of the Lincoln Tallman Museum guide you through the history of both the house and the Tallman family who lived here.
Today, everybody talks about he's worth this, he's worth that. Back then, they would never have talked about how wealthy they were. However, they displayed their wealth. The guest bedroom, which is right above this room, would have been also the fanciest of all the bedrooms. And that is the bedroom where Abraham Lincoln slept.
William Tallman was a prominent lawyer and abolitionist who forged a unique friendship with Abraham Lincoln a year before he was elected president. Mr. Tallman convinced Lincoln to visit Janesville, where he ultimately gave a speech before staying the night with the Tallmans before he had to catch a train back to Chicago.
He put his boots outside the door so that they would be polished by morning. When he opened up the door in the morning, though, his boots were gone. It was terribly improper for them to be walking about in their stocking or bare feet.
So Abraham Lincoln stayed in his room waiting until finally someone came to check on him, but he had already missed his train, so he spent another day with the Tallmans.
So technically, when we say Lincoln slept here, he truly did, but it wasn't just for one night, it was 2 nights. Because he couldn't find his boots.
The Lincoln Tallman Museum is a great deep dive into a specific era in time that's an important piece of Janesville's history. They are open for public tours Thursday through Saturday.
Well, we took a drive out to the country to visit Skelly's farm market, which has different things going on throughout the summer and the fall.
Yeah, and right now we're here at the tail end of sunflower season. I'm really excited because we've never been to a sunflower field before. And this is really unique because they actually put like props in the field and you can take different photos and it's just gonna be really fun. They have over 6 acres of sunflowers.
It was practically built for the gram. It's pretty neat. They have all these different packages, one of which is you can pick and then they will cut them and get them all ready for you so you can take them home. That's super fun. All right, Caitlin, you have a plan.
I do, I have a plan. So we're going to start here at the walking field and we're gonna go through the specialty flowers. I believe there are about 30 varieties of sunflowers. And then we're gonna go to the red loop first and there are 4 different prop stops there. We'll continue on to the green loop and then finish with the blue loop for a total of 16 prop stops.
And while they've almost wrapped up the season for sunflowers, they're about to start their fall program. So they'll have a corn maze, they'll have wagon rides and things like that. So there's almost always something going on throughout the season. Oh, this is awesome. Look at this. You got a little platform here and then you can even attach your camera to that.
Our first photo stop, Howard knocked it out of the park. I'll put them on screen here. You can
see. Baby.
They're
So good.
He used the sunflowers as like a frame in the bottom. Oh, and it's just picture perfect. Very good. It's almost like he knows what he's doing or something. I like this one. Yeah.
My picture?
Yeah.
And that's how you achieve all those photos.
That was so much fun. I love that they put all those different props here in the field. It just makes it even more fun. Now we can say we've come to a sunflower field.
Never done it before.
So fun. I highly recommend this. And check out all their great events like Howard was saying. They have all kinds of seasonal events. We're gonna go check out the store now and see what goodies we can find in there.
Did you get there?
Cold brew milkshake.
Just a few minutes away from our campground was a great little winery run by Bill and Mary Eckert. Fermenting Cellars began just as it sounds, when Bill and his dad began experimenting with wine fermentation in their basement. Fast forward to today, and the winery has long outgrown the basement of the adjacent home. Now, Bill and Mary run a beautiful event space and tasting room where they often have live music on the weekends. We sampled a flight of wine and then also got to try a wine slushie, which was perfect for the hot summer weekend.
Well, if you come to Wisconsin, one thing you have to do are the supper clubs.
And tonight is our very first one. I am so excited. We talked to a couple of supper club experts earlier.
Aficionados of supper clubs.
They were full of information, had all kind. I mean, he even had a map in his house of all of the supper clubs. It was so cool. They were so sweet, and they spent like 20 minutes telling us like all the ins and outs of supper clubs. So I feel armed with some great knowledge, and we're ready to eat and drink.
From what we've been told, every supper club is a bit different, but you can usually find a good Wisconsin-style old-fashioned made with brandy, not whiskey, French onion soup, a selection of delicious entrees, and a supper club favorite, an ice cream drink, which we'll get to in a minute. We had reservations, which we would definitely recommend because the wait can be quite long. First, we grabbed a drink at the bar, where our bartender whipped up some of those famous brandy old-fashions.
I got the Wisconsin Old Fashioned, which I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, Wallersheim brandy. It's quite good.
I got the Charlie Barron's Old Fashioned. Oh.
Very Wisconsin.
It's literally, that's what it says. Oh, it's as authentic Wisconsin as you can possibly get.
The ambiance at the Buckhorn is great. Inside, it's cozy and dimly lit with fun Wisconsin decor throughout. There's a beautiful patio right on the water, and sunsets here are spectacular. This family-run supper club has been serving guests for 95 years and is definitely a fan favorite among supper club enthusiasts.
Caitlin, so what are you thinking?
So many difficult decisions have to be made. So they are known for their prime rib, which is slow roasted for 12 hours. So she really kind of sold me on that. We also heard that the filet is really good. So that's where I'm struggling right now. And I know, Howard, you have a very tough decision.
So I can't decide if I'm getting the perch, the walleye, the bluegill, or they have swordfish on special. But I know I'm getting French onion soup. I know that.
There are books and documentaries dedicated to the history of supper clubs in Wisconsin. There's even a Wisconsin Supper Club Enthusiast Facebook group with nearly 100,000 members. And with more than 250 supper clubs across the state, it's easy to see that this is an important part of the state's cultural heritage. So what did we end up getting? I opted for their signature prime rib, which was so tender and delicious, and Howard had the swordfish. Both were excellent. And while they have a great selection of homemade desserts, we had to get a grasshopper ice cream drink, which is a boozy, adults-only dessert and was a great way to top off our first ever supper club experience. We always encourage you to live like a local, and this is something that has to be on your list when you visit Wisconsin. Well, as you walk around downtown Janesville, you'll start to notice all of these beautiful murals that can be found along the Janesville Public Art Trail.
They're absolutely everywhere. Some are in alleys, so you have to really know what you're looking for. But like this one behind us, and the one next to it, and the one over there that says Janesville, pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool. And so there are murals, and then there are also sculptures and memorials, and it's really fun to kind of do like a scavenger hunt and see all the different ones.
You can find more than 24 murals across Janesville, most of which were installed during their annual Art Infusion held in September, which celebrates art in the great outdoors here along the riverfront. There are exhibits and a big chalk art competition. Whether you're here during Art Infusion or not, it's clear that celebrating local artists is a big part of downtown Janesville. Our next story is a great tale about how a mischievous teenager and a local historian teamed up, forming a bond over their love of Janesville's history.
Well, beer and breweries are so ingrained in Wisconsin culture. I mean, the Brewers are the professional baseball team here.
Yeah, there are hundreds of breweries throughout Wisconsin. And right now we're on the Ice Age Trail, which runs throughout the state of Wisconsin. And here along the river's edge and along the trail, they're working to preserve a brewery that was thought to be lost forever.
This is this.
Oh, wow.
All covered with trees and brush and scrub. You couldn't tell anything was there unless you walked in a few feet.
Over the past several years, a local historian and Janesville native appropriately named Rob Beer and a team of volunteers began working to uncover a piece of history. This was the site of Northside Brewery, founded in 1856 by a future mayor of Janesville named Anson Rogers. Over time, the brewery fell to the wayside until it was demolished, but the foundation and its artifacts remained buried deep underground, waiting to be rediscovered. The excavation was slow going at first, but that soon changed thanks to the unauthorized digging of Michael Palmer.
Awesome.
I've always kind of loved history. I've always liked metal detecting, and I used to watch a couple videos, or lots of YouTube videos on people finding these old bottles, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
Here are the finds. I cannot believe it. We got so many.
So I started looking through old Janesville maps and different things like that, and I came across this old brewery site. So I started digging down about a 6.5, 7 foot deep hole one day that had a huge pile of basically glass and dirt up here, and I would also film it, and I posted it on my YouTube channel at the time. And this is back in 2019. I'm about 14. I'm a freshman in high school. Get a 7-paragraph email a couple months later from Rob Beer, and I knew of him. I'm like, oh my gosh, Rob just contacted me. This is amazing. He's gonna love what I'm doing. It turns out he was about to kill me. He was not fascinated with what I was doing.
Yeah, it's a stopper. Ooh, Rob was really upset at first, and he calls me and he's like, you have to take me off the ledge because I am so upset right now. And I'm like, he's a teenager, he's a kid, it's okay. And so Rob thought, you know what? This kid likes to dig, let's let him join us, right? And so we did, and it's been great ever since because Michael has done the majority of the excavating, uncovering.
Been about 5 years now, and been trying to uncover the site, and it's really been amazing getting to know all these people. Pretty much all covered up about to the trail level. You had about a 15-foot pile of debris here. So this is the bottom section of the boiler room here. This is where the ash pit would be.
You can visit the Northside Brewery excavation site where there are posters and QR codes to help you learn more about all the great work Michael and the entire team is doing to preserve this part of Janesville's history. In neighboring Edgerton, home of Sterling North and his beloved raccoon Rascal, which we'll get to in a minute, you can find a great spot to grab a bite. The historic Lake House Inn has a delicious brunch menu. Howard also loved their Bloody Mary, and we indulged in one of their massive cinnamon rolls. After fueling up, it was time to learn all about Edgerton native, the famous author Sterling North, and his beloved raccoon Rascal.
Sterling North lived here when he was a boy and growing up, and we've brought it back to its life. It was an 1894 built home. Sterling wrote the book Rascal about the year he spent with the little raccoon growing up in this house in 1918. So he nurtured this little raccoon, named it Rascal, brought it home, and raised it for a whole year right in this very house. And that book actually was published in 26 different languages. So people from all over the world have read this book. Disney made it into a movie in 1969, and Bill Mumy played Sterling North, and he still has great memories of making that movie. Sterling nailed some cleats into the side of the house so that Rascal could climb up the side of the house and come in the window and hang out with Sterling. and we always like to show there's Rascal coming into the house.
And it wasn't just here in the US where people fell in love with the story of Rascal. Thanks to a Japanese anime company, Rascal developed quite a following in Japan after it was turned into a TV series there.
We have a wonderful selection of gifts that were given to us from people that have come from Japan. We had a couple that were married in Japan, and they were coming to the United States for their honeymoon. They had 3 places they wanted to go: Disney World, New York City, and the Sterling North house, and this was their first stop. So we have visitors from all over, and it's very exciting.
Sterling North's boyhood home and museum is open for tours by appointment or on Sundays, May through October.